Pistons fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governor should come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption, they lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts, and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to, not eligible for Social Security. So the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself blood pressure or paying bills.
754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing to and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100 and I'm 81 years old. And I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here, we've been here for 26 years, we're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed to where. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. First one, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you because so many of you have. But if not, let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
5, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow in Washington, D.C., but here we are. The show must go on. Or else we're just crazy. I'm not sure which it is. Hey, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Monday, March 17. So good to see you today. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. I got to tell you, we've been up and down the roller coaster here in the Washington, D.C. area. Saturday, out in the shorts and short-sleeve shirts. It was just such a beautiful spring day.
Wasn't it?
It really was.
I know.
Spectacular.
It's wonderful.
Friday was great. Saturday was great. Started to cool off a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, but still, yesterday was a good day for most of the day. A little cooler in the afternoon, maybe. And then it started snowing last night, earlier than people thought. And it's still snowing, and it's supposed to still snow until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And everything is shut down again, except for the Bill Press Show. Here we are. So good to see you this morning, and thank you for joining us. We're going to talk, of course, we'll talk the weather and talk about everything else that's going on. Still no sign of that damn plane, but worries now that the pilot himself or somebody who certainly knew how to navigate had taken control of that plane. But it doesn't provide any more clues. It just deepens the mystery. We had the big vote in the Crimea yesterday, 93%. I think Vladimir Putin counted the votes. They say 93% of those who voted, a lot of people stayed home, supported making Crimea again part of Russia. The United States refuses to recognize that. And here in this country, oh my God, Scott Brown now says he wants to come back to the United States Senate. He's just chosen a different state to do so. Wants to come back as senator from New Hampshire. We can't let that happen. And even Joe Scarborough was up in New Hampshire poking around and dropping hints that he may want to run for office again. And you can bet he's not talking, if he does, about running for Congress. So much to talk about this morning, so little time. We'll get right to it. Don't forget, we want you to take advantage of your opportunity to be part of the conversation by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. Or you can just send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Almost everybody made it in this morning. Peter Rockburn.
I'm here.
Bad commute? Tough commute?
That was a bad commute, man. It was a really bad commute. I'm here. I gave myself extra time, and I'm glad I did. I watched a really bad accident happen right in front of me on the Parkway coming in, and then had to sit there for about 20 minutes while they got it all sorted out.
You didn't cause the accident?
No. I was behind the accident.
Oh, all right.
But I mean, sitting there for a little while with the snow coming down is not a great way to start the day. But we're here.
Yeah, right. And Lisa Murphy had a
good morning.
In from across the river.
Yeah, I had actually a taxi cab spin out right in front of me too. Oh man, so it was a very eventful drive in.
It's so bad out.
Oh yeah, stay off the road, everybody. Don't be like us. Stay off the road.
Don't be dumb like us.
I had a really tough commute because Cyprian was not along to sprinkle salt in front of me.
Did Cyprian bring a salt bag?
I think Cyprian was the first one in this morning, and he had the toughest commute.
Yeah.
Yep. Other than Alicia Cruz, who has such a tough commute that she's not going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last we heard, her she couldn't find her car. There was a snowbank somewhere in that snowbank.
Everything's buried.
was a car that she didn't know where it was. But Cyprian's here and it's got us looking good. And so, in addition to being, of course, there with you on your local progressive talk radio station, we are there with you on Free Speech TV, on the Dish Network, and on TawkrTV worldwide at youtube.com/TawkrTV. How about it? Yeah, we'll talk more about the weather through the morning. We're talking with Jason Samenow from the Capital Weather Gang here in Washington, D.C. I know what to expect and how wide-ranging this storm is. The First Lady...
I also want to find out if this is the last damn snow we're going to get.
Amen to that.
Spring is Thursday.
Right.
It's St. Patrick's Day today, and it's snowing buckets.
I know. But I was going to say, I think it's the last storm of the winter. Now, we may have a snowstorm in spring.
Splicing hairs.
It will be a spring storm, not a winter storm.
Crap.
Yeah. And the cherry blossoms, I heard again yesterday, everybody says April 8th. But, they usually... Every year that I can remember, almost they've come early because our warm weather starts, but not this year.
Which will be nice. We'll actually have a nice spring setting, hopefully.
Maybe.
Who
knows?
I also didn't expect that we would have 9 inches of snow on St. Patrick's Day, but who knows?
Nope. I started to mention First Lady Michelle Obama on Friday was out with a group talking about how successful her program to get healthier school lunches is working out. I mean, millions and millions of young kids eating better and hopefully going to live longer because of her good work. Here she is.
Because of what we have all done together, today, 32 million kids are getting healthier school meals. Tens of thousands of schools are removing junk food ads from their classrooms. 15,000 child care centers will be providing healthier snacks and getting those cute little kids up and moving.
Getting those kids up and moving. In fact, she's done such a great job. All right. Now, with federal government shut down, the buses are running on a very slow, let's say, uncertain schedule. The Metro may or may not be running, so we're not sure who's going to make it today. Joe Cirincione is slated to come in. Hope he can make it from the PloughShares Fund. We'll be talking with the hotline this morning. That's by phone. We know we'll get that. And hopefully a representative of the National Council of La Raza will be in to talk about deportation, plus reporters from Politico and Buzzfeed. All I know is we're here, and we'll see who makes it in through the snow.
Look, you want an exciting show? Today is your day to watch. We don't know what's going to happen.
You never know who's scheduled to be here, who may or may not show up, and who's not scheduled to be here, who may show up. That's it. That's the kind of day it is. And it is St. Patrick's Day, but there is a dark underbelly to St. Patrick's Day again this year. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
A couple of other stories making news. Yesterday was Selection Sunday. The NCAA men's basketball tournament brackets have been put together, Bill. Time for us to fill them out. Here's how it breaks down. Florida is the overall #1 seed in the men's basketball tournament. The other top spots going to Arizona, Virginia, and Wichita State. Notably, Louisville coming in at a #4 seed, very low. And locally here in Washington, a couple of teams making it in. American University and George Washington University, both in the tournament. Along with Virginia Commonwealth University and University of Virginia in the general area. So a couple
what does this mean?
Teams.
Who puts them together, by the way?
The selection committee, and it's all based on how well you do and what your record is and whether or not you win championships.
So it's time to fill out my bracket?
Time to fill out brackets. We'll print them up later today, and we can get into it.
I have to do it this week?
Yeah, you have to do it this week. When is it? Thursday? Thursday is your final day to do it. So,
all right, I'll have to give it as much thought as I normally do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've already lost the office bracket. I'm convinced. I haven't even started it. I've lost. What are the most fattening foods on Earth? The Huffington Post put together a list of things that are pound for pound the most fattening things you could possibly eat, and on top of the list is
donuts.
Super premium ice cream.
Ooh.
If you're going to get ice cream, you get like a better kind of ice cream. The better kind of ice cream uses heavier butter fat content in the cream that they use, and so that is more fattening. Next on the list, cheeseburgers, also sausage, and something you don't think about, nuts. Nuts in general. This isn't necessarily what has the most calories, but what has the most fat content, pound for pound.
Huh.
So nuts are very fattening. If you eat, too many nuts, it's a lot of fat.
But I always thought that nuts were supposed to be like a healthy snack food.
They are in moderation. There are good fats and bad fats, but if you sit down and you eat a giant bag of nuts,
you just can't. This is it's all BS.
Go,
I'm convinced.
Let's all go eat a salad.
It is total BS.
Just all go eat a salad. Still some sad news. I know you're going to be heartbroken about this. Fred Phelps, the founder of the Westboro Baptist Church, best known for picketing the funerals of U.S. soldiers, is living in a hospice and is in very, very poor health. His estranged son says he is, quote, on the edge of death. So, of course, we'll give him all the respect that he gave all the other people that died.
I'm going to picket his funeral.
He is still alive for now, so, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
All the families of the fallen
that have been picketed,
they ought to picket his funeral.
Go for it. The family, ironically, has asked for some respect in this time.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we'll give them the same respect they gave everybody
there you go.
else. Yeah, how about it? All right, it is indeed St. Patrick's Day today. The celebration, of course, started Friday. They do this every year. They have the early celebration at the White House because the Prime Minister of Ireland, who comes here for that celebration, wants to be back in Ireland, in Dublin, for St. Patrick's Day itself. President Obama welcoming a big crowd at the White House and acknowledging that this isn't really the big day.
Welcome to the White House. Once again, today is not technically St. Patrick's Day. And once again, none of you seem particularly bothered by this.
Yeah, they all made it. The president, of course, and the prime minister had their little private celebration in the Oval Office with the exchange of shamrocks. Then they went up to Capitol Hill on Friday, where Speaker Boehner tried his best to bring an Irish spirit to the luncheon by reciting this lame limerick.
There was a speaker called Boehner, tried to keep the House out of danger. He prayed to St. Patrick, but over the static thought, can this place be any stranger?
They should have asked me to recite a few Irish limericks, although I'm not sure I could repeat the limericks that I know on the air here this morning. We'll do that after the show. And then out the St. Patrick's Day parades over the weekend in Chicago is one of the biggest ever, and Rahm Emanuel, who does not have an ounce of Irish blood in his body, nonetheless celebrated with everybody else.
Everybody is Irish today?
Everybody is Irish today. Well, that's the way it is. I mean, it's usually a big celebration, and it is a big celebration, even if you're not Irish. I mean, I talked to there's no Irish blood in our family either. I talked to my sister yesterday, and she said she had made corned beef and cabbage, which she does every year for her husband, for her kids. Just because it's St. Patrick's Day, so you do want to celebrate. And, of course, there were the big parades over the weekend, not only in Chicago, but in New York and in Boston, both of which have a big Irish population, of course, especially in the Boston area. But there was, as I said, a little dark underbelly again this year on with the parades, and that is that the parade organizers in all three cities said, everybody's welcome. All Irish organizations are welcome, except Irish gay organizations. No gays or lesbians allowed to march in our parade, said the organizers of the parade. And you know what I get is why? Who the hell are these people? Why not? I mean, why do they continue this out and out blatant method of discrimination and hate? I mean, why? They think there are no gays or lesbians in Ireland, or that no Irish gays or lesbians? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, St. Patrick might have chased the snakes out of Ireland. He didn't chase all the gays and lesbians out of Ireland. Or Do they, this is what I think it is, do they think because they're Irish and most Irish are Catholics and the Catholic Church is anti-homosexual that therefore they're not allowed to allow anybody homosexual to march in their parade? I mean, if that's really what they think, by the way, this is Ireland where the whole question of pedophile priests really started and where they had one of the worst records and one of the most shocking records of bishops covering up what the priests were doing. These are the people who are preaching morality to everybody else. And when it comes to their treatment of gays and lesbians, maybe they ought to talk to the Pope. What's the Pope say about this? Who am I to judge? Yeah. Who am I to judge? Pope Francis would not have made the same decision these parade organizers made. So here's the good news about this, is that finally some people have had enough. In Boston, the new mayor, Mayor Marty Walsh, said, I'm not going to attend that parade as long as they won't allow gays and lesbians in. And the makers of Sam Adams beer withdrew their endorsement of the parade up in Boston. And in New York City, the new mayor, Mayor Bill de Blasio, said, if they won't allow gays and lesbians to participate in that parade, those organizations, I am not going to attend the parade. He did not yesterday. And the makers of Heineken's beer, who've always been one of the biggest sponsors of the St. Patrick's Day parade, withdrew their support of it. So my question to you is this morning, did Mayor Marty Walsh and Mayor Bill de Blasio, Heineken's and Sam Adams do the right thing? Absolutely. If you ask me, 866-55-PRESS. Let's not continue St. Patrick's Day as a day of discrimination and a day of hatred against the LGBT community. 866-55-77-377. Let's talk about it here on St. Patrick's Day 2014.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. Verse 1, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you because so many of you have. But if not, let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, Mayor Martin Walsh in Boston, Mayor Bill de Blasio in New York saying, you're going to continue to discriminate at St. Patrick's Day parades? We're not going to be there. Mayor Bloomberg went to every one of them, even though they had the same policy. And he was considered gay-friendly, but he didn't live up to his, didn't practice what he was preaching, shall we say. Mayor de Blasio is doing so. Good for him. Good for Mayor Marty Walsh in Boston. Peter?
On that topic, we're getting a lot of comments on Twitter at BP Show. Just a quick one from Tracy Burridge, who says, those mayors are standing up for their constituents, all of them. That is what leadership looks like. Kudos.
Kudos.
Find us on Twitter at BP Show.
Amen to that. Now, something else. Busy day. Told you a lot to cover. Something else I want to ask you about this morning, too, and get your comments on. I had a meeting last week with Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont. Come on, you all know Senator Bernie Sanders, the most liberal, the most progressive, the most outspoken, the most fearless member of the United States Senate. And he told me that he is considering, just considering at this point, throwing his hat into the ring for president in 2016. And he wants to do so, the senator said, because he really wants to be sure that the progressive issues you and I care about, Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and climate change and all of those issues are out there on the table, part of the discussion. But, of course, a lot of people are going to say, well, Bernie, you can't run because this is Hillary's turn and you can't get in. We have to clear the path for Hillary. My question is very simple. Let's talk about it after the half here. Should Bernie run in 2016? 866-55-PRESS. No, there'll be no stronger liberal ever running for president than Bernie Sanders if he does so. But he's got to hear from us, and we should talk about it. Or is this the time everybody's got to just sit back and let Hillary have it, or Joe Biden have it? 866-55-77-377. Should Bernie run?
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, lots to talk about today, lots going on, and we'll get right back to the news of the day and our Bill Press Show this morning in just a second. But first, I want to take a little time out once again to ask for your help for all of us here at Free Speech TV. You know, I don't have to tell you how much, I've told you before, how much we love being with you first thing in the morning, bring you the news of the day. We love the fact that you're with us, but, you know, we wouldn't be here without you, and we really do need your help. That's what makes the difference on Free Speech TV. We don't get any corporate money. We don't get any government funding. All of our, you know, we don't get any commercial funding. All of our money, all of our revenue for Free Speech TV comes from you, our viewers. I know you appreciate Free Speech TV. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. You know that you get here totally unfettered, totally independent, just right straight news of the day with good progressive commentary all day long from me and from Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Amy Goodman, all of our good friends at Free Speech TV. Well, we wouldn't be here without you. It's just as simple as that. You've been very generous in the past. We're very excited that so many of you already, this pledge drive, have stepped up to the plate. We thank you for that, and if you haven't already done so, encourage you to make that big call today to 877-378-8669 and make your pledge. Be as generous as you can to Free Speech TV, just to keep this independent, the one single progressive television network on the air, and that is Free Speech TV. And encourage you to do so. Very, very excited to be able to offer you. If you could just give us $10 a pledge, $10 a month, that's $120 a year. You get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop downstairs here in our building. If you can up that to $20 a month and a pledge of $240, for which we thank you, you'll love the cheese from Cowgirl Creamery. It comes from a part of Marin County where we live in California. I think it's the best cheese in the entire world. We'll send you a selection of Cowgirl Creamery. And for $360 or $30 a month, you get the Cowgirl Creamery, Cowgirl cheese selection, and the Bill Press mug. That's $30 a month or $360. And then, very, very special, and some of you have signed up for this already, if you can afford to help Free Speech with $1,000 and make your way to Washington, D.C., here's what. We will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Washington and invite you to come here the next morning in studio with us to see the show. That'll be a great deal of fun. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Again, the number to make your pledge is 877-378-8669. We depend on you. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC. Or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Here we go, 34 minutes after the hour. Yes, indeed. By the way, a related story. I just saw that Rand Paul, if you remember, he won the straw poll at the CPAC convention here in Washington. the straw poll for president, and over the weekend, Rand Paul won the straw poll up in New Hampshire Republican Party. So the Republicans are sort of lining up their candidates. On the Democratic side, the thinking seems to be, oh, this is Hillary's turn. You know, we supported her last time. She didn't make it. She did a good job as Secretary of State. There's nobody more qualified. Go, Hillary, go. And everybody else just get out of the way. Well, Senator Bernie Sanders, love your take on this, whether he should do it or not. 866-55-PRESS. He told me last week, I met with him in his office, that he's seriously considering running in 2016, either as an independent in the primaries or as a Democrat, more likely as a Democrat, even though he's now an independent. And for this reason, because he says, unless he runs, there are a lot of issues, the good, progressive, liberal, New Deal issues that will never be raised by Hillary or maybe not even by Joe Biden were he to jump in. And Bernie wants to get out there and make sure that we're talking about Social Security. We're talking about Medicare and Medicaid and how important they are and not to cut them a no-change CPI. That we're talking about climate change and the Keystone Pipeline and about worker safety and workers being able to organize and form unions, and about health care and about Obamacare is just not good enough. We got to have even more. We should have a single payer. At least people have that option, a public plan option. So Bernie wants to get those issues on the table and make them part of the debate. And he thinks the only way to do it, the way our system works, is if he is himself a candidate for president. Therefore, they can't ignore him. They have to talk about the issues, and they'll have to debate those issues as part of the debates. That's the yes side, if you will. The no side is, and again, there are people saying, look, we have to hold on to the White House. Hillary is our strongest candidate. So everybody else has just got to get out of the way, and it would be a big mistake to force her to go left during the primaries because that would hurt her in the general. So there you go. Yes, Bernie ought to run. No, Bernie should not run. Just stay the hell out of it. 866-55-PRESS. You tell me what you think. I got to tell you what I think. And this is no knock on Hillary, no knock on Joe Biden, no knock on anybody else. Go, Bernie, go, is what I say. Because Democrats too often, they want to avoid these issues. They want to be centrist. They want to be in the middle. And then they get elected, then they govern in the middle. And we never get anybody to really fight for us and fight for the middle class. And nobody does that better than Bernie Sanders. I think it's very healthy. Whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, it's very healthy to have a good, strong challenge in the primaries. It makes the candidate, the ultimate candidate, a stronger, better candidate. Now, Hillary didn't win in 2008, but that was a good primary. And we heard the same thing, by the way, in 2007, right? Everybody else get out of the way. Hillary's the best qualified. There's nobody better than her. So everybody else just forget about it. Well, everybody believed that except one person, Barack Obama. And he's now the president of the United States. So I hate to hear this talk about, no, we can't have any primary. So anyhow, what do you think? Yes, Bernie? No, Bernie. Joey, out in Chicago. Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Hey, Bill, what's happening, brother? Yes, Bernie, run, Bernie, run. We finally have an old school Democrat, a big D Democrat. We haven't had one since the 40s, for Christ's sake. We need Bernie to run. I will work for Bernie. No knocking Hillary, but she's a corporatist. I want a Democrat, and this is a Democrat, Bill. You know it, and I know it. Run, Bernie, run.
All the way, Joey. You know, and he'll raise issues that nobody else will talk about. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I think you can count on him. And let me tell you something else, Joey. Always good to hear from you, my buddy. Is that what Bernie told me is that he will never be another Ralph Nader. In other words, he is not going to do anything. He's not going to be on the ballot as an independent to suck votes away from whoever the Democratic candidate is in the general election, whether it's him or Hillary, but if it's or Joe Biden or Martin O'Malley or you name it, Kirsten Gillibrand, whoever it is, Elizabeth Warren. But Bernie says if he's not the nominee, he's not going to run. He will do nothing. He will do nothing to suck votes away from the Democratic candidate in the general, because the last thing he wants is a Republican in the White House. So you don't have to worry about that Nader effect, if you will, with Bernie Sanders. Sarah is in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Hi, Sarah. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I say go, Bernie, go. Hillary Clinton needs to sit down.
She needs to just sit down. I'm just so sick of those Clintons, I don't know what to do.
Oh, well, they've done a lot of good, though, Sarah.
Yeah, well, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
She disappointed us when we voted for her as senator in New York. She didn't do squat for us, the African-American and the Hispanic community. Go sit down, Hillary Clinton. Go, Bernie, go.
Go, Bernie. You're ready for Bernie, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Sarah. Appreciate hearing from you. I think I think I told the senator, and that's why I wanted to talk about it this morning. And we'll get him. He's going to come back in the studio here as soon as we can work it out. The Senate is out of session this week, or else he would come in this week. But I told the senator that I thought that we would talk about it on the show, and that I felt that he would get a lot of support around the country. And by the way, he is not up for re-election in the Senate next year, so he will have what they call a free ride. In other words, we won't, if he doesn't make it, and of course the chances are he would not make it, but if he doesn't make it, we would not lose him in the United States Senate. We will still have his strong voice in the United States Senate. Okay, let me try this out here. We're going to bounce out to Seaside, California. Akoja, is that right?
That's correct.
Oh, boy, I got it on the first try. Hey, good morning. Early on the West Coast. Thanks for joining us. What do you think?
Well, I like Bernie. I listen to him often, and he never failed to say the right things at the right time, and he's not afraid to speak up about Social Security and Medicare and single-payer health care is what we need, and I'd love to see him revisit that whole issue and put it on the table the way it should be done.
Well, that's what he's thinking, Akoja. You know, and I think I told him, me from California, that I thought he'd have a lot of support on the West Coast.
I think he will, too. I'm just delighted to hear that he's even given it a thought.
Yeah. Well, he's seriously giving it. He's giving it very, very serious thought. So, hey, good to hear from you. Keep your powder dry because, Bernie may be calling on you. And by the way, we'll keep you all up to date on what his plans are. Again, he's going to come in studio and talk about it with us as soon as we can arrange that. But we will keep you informed. There will be a time when I'm sure if he does this, he'll form an exploratory committee, and he'll probably be traveling around the country and lining up support. And I hope he makes that decision, and we'll make sure you know about it so you have an opportunity to participate. All right, good. Let's while we're on the West Coast, bounce up from Seaside up to San Francisco. Teresa, good morning.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, really good.
Great.
Hey, Bernie has to run because so many Democrats will stay home because it's Hillary. We need an alternative.
I think so, too. Yeah. I think we need a choice, right? And I think, Teresa, and I supported Hillary over Barack Obama in 2008, right? So I say this as a Hillary fan. I think it's good to have a choice, and I think it'll be better for her to have a challenge, right? Makes us all stronger.
It's time to push it to the left.
Yep, absolutely. And only Bernie can do it. Okay, thanks, Teresa. Thanks so much. The great city of San Francisco weighing in this morning. We will talk more about Bernie Sanders, and we will keep you informed as to his plans. But I think it's very, very exciting that he's even thinking about running. You know what? You ought to let him know. You ought to let him know. You can go to just Google Bernie Sanders, Senator Sanders, go to his website, and let him know you think he ought to do this, and you think that he ought to, that you're glad that he's taking it seriously. And when we come back, we'll check in with Scott Bland from the National Journal Hotline on the news of the day, including the big referendum over in Crimea.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out, and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour. Hard to keep up with what's going on here in our nation's capital on so many fronts. One of the best ways to do so, which I have taken advantage of for several years now, is to check out the National Journal, particularly the Hotline. Senior analyst for the Hotline, Scott Bland, joins us this morning again on our newsline. Hey, Scott, good to have you with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
NationalJournal.com, I should say. So are you a National Journal shut down today because of the snow? Are you staying working at home, or going to trudge through?
The news never stops, so we never stop.
Well, same here. We're here. The show must go on, right? Yeah. Indeed. So what is the general take on this referendum yesterday in Crimea? Have you ever seen anything where 93% of the people would support going back and being part of Russia?
Yeah, I mean, that seems a little suspicious right on the face of it.
It does,
right?
doesn't it?
And
yeah.
I think generally it's seen as troubling. It seems like this is going to lead to future steps. You know, the kind of the economic repercussions that people have been talking about for a few weeks now are about to kick into kick into execution. And the real question is kind of what kind of long-term steps are taken to isolate Russia in the aftermath of this, and whether or not they are able to work. To a lot of people, this latest incident seems very similar to what happened in the breakaway regions of Georgia,
right,
in 2008, and obviously nothing nothing changed enough between now and then to prevent what's happening now.
And the Ukraine, of course, Ukraine and the United States and our European allies have all refused to recognize this constitution. But at the same time, there's not much we can do about it. I mean, you're right. We've talked about these economic sanctions. They will definitely kick in, but that doesn't mean that Russia will bend over either, right? I mean, I keep asking myself, if Putin really does annex Crimea, what can we do about it, short of military action, which nobody is recommending?
Well, right, that's the thing. No one's recommending, and it wouldn't make any sense. The idea that obviously the United States has interests in kind of making sure that borders are respected and that sovereign governments are respected, but all interests only extend to a point, right? Yeah. And the point to which our interests extend, especially with respect to Russia, who, for all the country's problems, still has an enormous military and, I should add, a nuclear arsenal. The interests only extend so far in the face of those difficulties, and whether or not it would have been possible via other kind of foreign policy avenues to prevent this from happening in the first place, there aren't many options to roll it back now that it has happened. We're talking with Scott Bland, who's a senior analyst for the National Journal Hotline at nationaljournal.com. Here on the domestic front, Scott, I thought it was interesting last week, for months, the White House has been getting called on by immigration organizations and members of Congress to do something about deportations and so many people being deported every day by the Department of Homeland Security. And the White House, and I've asked about this at the White House briefings, and the response that I get and others get is, look, we have to enforce the law. We have no choice. We have to enforce the law while we're waiting for immigration reform legislation. Last week, the president suddenly changed his tune, and he called on Homeland Security to do something to maybe cut back on these deportations. What happened? In terms of the specific strategizing, I can't speak to that as much, but I do know the White House has been in a bit of a bind in this situation because even as allies in the immigration community and among Democrats have been calling on them to halt this flood of deportations, Republicans in Congress have been using as an excuse for not acting on immigration reform the idea that President Obama has already been flouting the law and refusing to enforce it properly as far as immigration is concerned. And so by cutting back on their deportation enforcement, it would have given additional ammunition to Republicans who have been using this as an excuse for not moving on legislation. Right. Now, at this point, I've been in the camp for about the last year or so that the passage of immigration reform legislation in the House seems like a very unlikely business.
Anyhow.
Right. But at this point, it's seeming particularly unlikely to happen this year. And I wonder if this is a response to that and kind of a cutting of losses on the part of the administration.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that. Spot on. I think the administration realized they weren't getting anywhere, right, with the Republicans, who were never going to vote for immigration reform this year anyhow. So they might as well do the right thing by particularly we're talking people who do not have a criminal record or haven't committed any crimes other than coming to this country illegally, right? By stopping this this flood, as you put it, of deportations. But it was a real change of course, which I thought was pretty significant. And with that, Scott, I can't believe it. We are out of our little time that we got together this morning. So we'll let you deal with the snow. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have a good one. Talk to you next week. Okay, Scott Bland with the National Journal Hotline, nationaljournal.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, folks, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. You know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? You know, well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, you know, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and say and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those who are able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, in the next hour, Joe Cirincione from the PloughShares Fund on the Ukraine and other foreign policy issues, Jennifer Epstein from Politico, and Jason Samino from the Capital Weather Gang. Whoa. Peter.
Bill, it's been the butt of many jokes. The president's jeans. Barack Obama has been known to wear dad jeans, and he's fighting back. He gave an interview to Ryan Seacrest on Friday and said that he has been, quote, unfairly maligned about his jeans. When in 2009, he threw out the first pitch at a baseball game, and he was wearing dad jeans. He said he wore loose jeans so that he wouldn't feel constricted.
Yeah.
He said normally he looks good in jeans.
I think he looks good in jeans.
I will say I've seen a few other pictures where he is wearing full-on dad jeans. But he's the president, and he's a dad, so he should own the fact that he wears dad jeans.
Leave the guy alone.
I'm not giving him credit, just saying.
No, seriously. No, I know you're not.
Is the Bill
Other
Press
people
Show.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. First one, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you, because so many of you have. But if not, Let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC. or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
So what if we had 5 to 8 inches of snow in Washington, D.C.? Hey, doesn't stop us. The show must go on, and here we are. Good morning, everybody. Monday, March 17, St. Patrick's Day, 2014. Great to see you today. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the program, The Bill Press Show, coming to you live coast to coast from our studio in Capitol Hill, right here in Washington, D.C., where the House and the Senate are off for a, isn't it nice? They never just take like one day off for St. Patrick's Day or whatever it is, no matter what it is. They'll take 10 days. Yeah. They're on another 10-day break celebrating St. Patrick's Day. But you know what? It's a good thing they're not in town because the federal government shut down today anyhow, as is National Airport and just about everything else here in Washington, D.C., because we're not Chicago. We can't handle the snow. And it's been snowing all night and expected to continue until 2 o'clock this afternoon, although it looks like things are slowing down right now. So we'll see how we make out. Wherever you happen to be, hope you had a great weekend and are ready to jump into the big news stories of the day. That's what we do every day, of course. We'll tell you what's going on, and you tell us what it all means to you at 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-77-377. On Twitter, you can reach us. Send us your comments at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Peter Rugburn and Lisa Murphy both slogging in through the snow, and a pretty
adventurous,
more than usually lively commute this morning.
It was a harrowing ride in, yes, indeed. That was not a fun ride, but we're here.
We offered you the chance to camp out on the floor here last night, but neither one of you took up on it. So.
I bought s'mores and everything.
Yeah. Alicia Cruz will not make it in today. She's got the hairiest commute of all. And I think made the smart decision to stay home, stay off the roads. One more car off the roads is good.
That's right.
Cyprian Balding with the next to Alicia, the worst commute, but he was the first one here this morning.
Yes, indeed.
So yes, he... Of course,
made it in.
He has the advantage of having his bag of salt with him all the time. So,
I thought I would have seen the salt bag on the way we walked in together from the garage, but I didn't see it.
No salt, huh?
Yeah. I think this... No salt for you.
No, I walked in with Cyprian one morning, too. And I'm telling you, no salt for me either.
That's salt's for him.
No royalty.
Cyprian only sprinkles the salt for his own path. Right. Indeed. This is St. Patrick's Day today. St. Patrick's Day, of course, started a little early at the White House. They celebrated on Friday, but the president says, hey, nobody seems to mind if we up the date.
Welcome to the White House. Once again, today is not technically St. Patrick's Day. And once again, none of you seem particularly bothered by this.
Yeah, they all got there anyhow, indeed. Lots going on this morning. Joe Cirincione will be joining us from the PloughShares Fund. We'll check in with the Capital Weather Gang to find out exactly what's in store for the Washington, D.C. region as far as the snow goes. And we'll start off this hour with Jennifer Epstein from Politico on the latest on Malaysian flight number 370. But first,
this is the
Peter,
Full
with
Court
the really
Press.
big stories of the day.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Got milk? Maybe not. A new study shows that Americans are drinking less milk than ever before.
Really?
The rate of people who have stopped drinking milk has dropped about 25% from 1975 to 2012, and the decline from 2011 to 2013 was the highest in more than a decade. This data shows that more Americans are drinking almond milk, soy milk, and a big part of their market are kids, and a lot of kids are now drinking soy milk or almond milk instead of actual cow milk. This led the milk producers to change their slogan from "Got Milk" to now they're going to be emphasizing more about the health benefits of milk, the protein that's in milk. So they're moving away from the "Got Milk" slogan.
So what's the new slogan?
I don't know.
It's Milk Life.
Yeah, that's it. Milk Life. That's it. Milk Life.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Now, I'm not talking about for cereal, cereal, and I'm not talking about baking, right. or cooking, whatever, with milk or anything.
Right.
I'm just talking about drinking a glass of milk. When is the last time you actually poured yourself a glass of milk and drank a glass of milk?
Couldn't tell you. I was a kid, probably.
You know what? I couldn't either, but I bet you...
I snuck some chocolate milk off of my kid's thing the other day.
I'll bet you I was maybe a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I mean, at the latest.
Not even like with a brownie or a
I
cookie?
hate milk.
I don't like drinking a glass of
Just
milk.
drinking a glass of milk? No.
I mean,
Never.
my kids, my oldest doesn't drink milk. My youngest loves it. He drinks a glass of milk a day. He drinks it all the time. But he'll grow out of it, I'm sure. Everybody does. Right?
So when they say, got milk for me, I said, hell no.
Not so much. Believe it or not, Bill, not everything on the internet is to be believed. A rumor spread around online over the weekend that Wayne Knight, the actor, better known as Newman from Seinfeld, had passed away. He had not passed away. He is alive and well. He tweeted over the weekend, "Some of you will be glad to hear this, others strangely disappointed, but I am alive and well."
How'd the rumor get started?
So, you
Yeah.
light a fire on the internet, and,
Yeah.
and people just retweet without actually doing the research. It gets around. And here's an idea. In Washington, D.C., there is going to be a new brew pub opening up by late summer, early fall. It's called the Public Option. What's different about this brew pub? They will not accept tips. The owner, a man by the name of Bill Perry, is a former librarian. He says, "We will not accept tips, but we are going to pay all of our servers a living wage of at least $15 an hour. And if anybody leaves any money on the table, then they're going to donate that to charity. No tips accepted." It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
This is a new trend.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We should talk about this sometime. There are more and more restaurants that are doing this to get away from this idea that you pay $1 an hour,
Right.
and then they make it up on tips.
On tips.
No. I applaud this.
Yeah, the owner says, "We are uncomfortable with the dynamic that is created by tipping."
You know, I would probably still tip in a restaurant like that.
Sure.
But you get in the habit, but good
Yeah.
for them. Good for them. All right. Yes, indeed. Hard to follow the latest. It seems every time you turn around, there's a new theory about what happened to Malaysian Flight 370. Jennifer Epstein's been reporting on this for Politico. She also covers the White House for Politico. Jennifer, good morning. Good to have you with us this morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me on. I admit that I was one of those people who was a little too scared to go out in the snow, so I'm speaking from home. But I will have to go to the White House in a couple hours, so I'll brave my way then.
You make up for it. Yeah, I'm wondering whether we'll still have our briefing today at 1 o'clock, the last time we had a
I'm not
snowstorm.
sure. Yeah, I mean, they seem to cancel it every time the government is closed, but at the same time, Palestinian President Abbas is going to be there, so, there are going to be reporters around, and maybe they'll do it.
You know, if I'm not mistaken,
nice
the day that
throw something
Netanyahu arrived, it was also a snowstorm, I believe. But anyway,
Oh, you're right. And I don't think they did a briefing then.
yeah, but they will. They somehow managed to. Life goes on at the White House, right? I mean, a meeting like this, they're not going to cancel this meeting because of snow,
Right. And most of the staff are there. I mean, you know, if you work at the White House, it's a 7-day-a-week job, and it's not really. It's not. You know, even though there's no briefing, probably everybody in the press office is going to be in there.
Sure.
So it's just how they kind of maneuver it, but.
Now, meanwhile, let's talk about the latest. I mean, some troubling stuff over the weekend indicating that this radical left turn off course of the Malaysian airline flight was actually programmed into the computer, and that the transponder had actually been manually shut off, which changes the focus of this investigation, correct?
Right. Now one of the focuses, and I don't think that the investigators are ruling any other possible theories out at this point, involves the pilot and the co-pilot, and they're now investigating those people's homes and trying to find out more about them and possibly their intentions. And it's kind of a scary possible path for this to go, that an airline pilot, working for a major corporate airline, maybe was trying to infiltrate the airline so that he could, hijack a plane. That's kind of terrifying. If that's really what happened.
Do they believe the pilot and the co-pilot were acting together as a team?
I'm not sure. I think that they're really trying to figure that out. They don't even, I don't know that they're even, totally certain that that's what happened. But, I think that they're probably exploring all the options. And I mean, you would think that was probably the case. Otherwise, there would have been some kind of fight in the cockpit. But who knows?
Yeah, unless one of them.
I mean, that's really the question: is who knows on all the stuff.
There's another question: will we ever know? Because the only way to really know, it seems, would be if somebody who was on that plane could tell us kind of what was going on, and it's unlikely that'll ever happen. And there's a report,
or even just to find the plane.
Or to find the plane. There's a report this morning that the plane may have flown as low as 5,000 feet to avoid radar detection. And again, purposeful action, right? Because they realized that they were just so. I mean, you do have to ask the question too: is it possible this plane could have landed somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are certainly speculating about that, and I don't know where that would have happened. It landed somewhere where there's no telecommunications.
Yeah, right.
Where there was a long enough space for a 777 to land. A desert island with absolutely no trees, or something like crazy. But I mean, I think maybe these people had a huge plot. Maybe they're trying to relive Lost or something. I mean.
But,
I know that's been the joke everybody's been making, but maybe
the minister yesterday said that they are there's this. So they turned, and then they could have gone north or gone south, right? South would be into the Indian Ocean, where they would run out of fuel and, crash into the ocean. Or north would have been over land territory. And he said they were looking over. Do you have that clip there? This is the minister saying about they're looking at 12 different countries where this might have landed. Here's the minister yesterday.
The search area has been significantly expanded, and the nature of the search has changed. From focusing mainly on shallow seas, we are now looking at large tracts of land, crossing 11 countries, as well as deep and remote oceans.
Yeah, 11 countries. I said 12. But so that changes the whole nature of the thing. Who knows, as you said earlier.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to imagine, but I mean, maybe there's, the Earth is extremely vast, and maybe there's some area that if it was the pilot and or the co-pilot or some hijacker or something else, realize there's some area they could fly to where there weren't any people for miles and miles around. They could land in a relatively smooth spot, or it's just like unfathomable. I mean, if they did that, they ran out of disgusting airline food days ago. If there are people alive, I know.
I again, this could be the mystery of all mysteries. It already is, I think, Jennifer. We got to run, Jennifer, but I hope to see you a little bit later at the White House today. Should be a busy day down there, regardless of the snow. Good luck making it in. I'll look for you later. Jennifer Epstein from the Politico.com. And when we come back, we're going to check in with Jason Samino from the Capital Weather Gang to find out for the D.C. area, at least, what we can expect. Are we going to make it home from the studio?
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, friends and neighbors, we'll get back to the news of the day in just a moment here. But first, I got a couple of questions for you. First one, are you enjoying Free Speech TV? Well, I know the answer to that one. If you weren't, you wouldn't keep watching. We appreciate that. Good to have you with us. And the second question is, since you enjoy Free Speech TV so much, have you done your share to keep us on the air? Have you made your pledge? If so, we thank you, because so many of you have. But if not, let's get on it. Do it today. It is so important. Look, again, I don't have to tell you how special Free Speech TV is. I'm very, very proud to be part of it. Less than a year right now. But it's the only place you can find such great hosts, Tom Hartman, Stephanie Miller, Amy Goodman. I hope I'm one of them. And it's all content-free, no commercials, the only truly independent and progressive cable channel that is out there. You won't find it anywhere else. But the thing is, we depend on you. That's the only way we can stay on the air. We get no corporate money, no government money, no sponsor money, right? It is all from our viewers that keep us going. So we ask you to give us a call today, 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org and make your pledge. And as a little reward for making your pledge, if you can do us this $10 a month, $120, we'll send you a Bill Press Show mug. You can have your coffee with us every day, and a pound of coffee from Washington's favorite little coffee shop, which is right downstairs in our building. It's called Peregrine Coffee. If you can afford $20 a month, $240 pledge, you will get a very, very special treat from one of my favorite little businesses out in West Marin, California, West Marin County, from Cowgirl Creamery, a selection of their best cheeses. I think they're the best cheeses on the planet, and I've lived in Switzerland, so I know. Cowgirl Creamery for $240. For $360 or $30 a month, we'll send you the Cowgirl Creamery and a mug. And here's something very, very special. If you can do it and you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, then make your way to Washington as a little special treat. I'll take you out to dinner with Carol, and we'll invite you and a guest in to watch the show the next morning here in our studio in downtown Washington, D.C. So those are just our ways of saying thank you ahead of time to you. Please do it. Please consider it today. And again, the number to call is 877-378-8669, or you can go to freespeech.org. We love bringing the show to you every morning, love being with you every day, and ask you to be with us by making your pledge as soon as you can and as generously as you can. Thank you so much.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get fire adapted now at fireadapted.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 25 minutes after the hour, I got to tell you, when I was walking around in shorts on Saturday, I didn't believe it was going to snow yesterday and this morning, but here it is. Jason Semino, weather editor for the Capital Weather Gang from the Washington Post, joining us on our newsline. Jason, you got it right again, man.
Yeah, I think it even overperformed our expectations. You know, we were thinking about 2 to 6 inches, and we're into 5 to 10 inches now across the region. It's pretty much ending, but yeah, this has been an impressive March storm, no doubt. I think it's the heaviest March storm in decades this late in the season.
How big is the area? How does the storm? Does it extend up the East Coast or?
This is mostly a Mid-Atlantic storm, in northern Mid-Atlantic. So from basically Charlottesville to Philadelphia, that's kind of the area which has been hit pretty hard.
And you say it's just about over now, you think? Just slowing down?
Yeah, it's definitely slowing down on radar. A lot of the heavier stuff has shifted off to the northeast, and we just have some scattered snow showers and flurries, I think, here in the D.C. area for the rest of the morning.
Now, Jason, I know you don't want to put yourself out on the line here, but is this the last one of the season?
You know, we talked about this. What was it, about 10 days ago?
I know. I remember.
And I said, you know what, we got to keep our eye out for about a week ahead of time. And it turned out it was about 10 days from then. And you know what? It's not necessarily over. There's pattern still looks active with more cold air streaming in here. In about another week or so, and so we can't rule out another opportunity. I wouldn't say it's a high probability. You know, maybe it's a 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 chance, but I cannot totally rule out another opportunity for snow here in the region.
That would make it. That would put us into spring, Jason. Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, actually, one of our heaviest snows on record happened in March. We've gotten a foot as late as the tail end of March, and I think it's in 1942. So it wouldn't be unprecedented, but it's extremely rare, and everything has to come together just right. That's why I say, you know, if we get it again, it's kind of a low probability. But the pattern, the cold air and the overall pattern that we've had all winter, just is not going away. So. That's right, push cherry blossoms late, and you just got to be patient if you're a warm weather lover this year.
Man.
Well, I'm telling you, they kept you working overtime this winter for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Did you keep track of how many snowstorms have we had in the Washington, D.C. area? Do you know?
Oh, gosh. I can pull that number up pretty quick. It's been quite a few.
It's like
I would say.
Almost. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's we're on the order of. Let me see. I'm putting up a spreadsheet as we speak. Oh wow, okay. So we've got in terms of the number of days with snow this winter, we've had about 16 days with measurable snow.
Oh jeez,
how about
that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and it goes back to December 8th. And so we're beyond 4 months of winter weather.
Yeah, how about it? Well, I think we've had enough. So I hope your thought about one more coming up is not going to prove true. Jason Semino, thanks so much for being with us again. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, you bet.
Is the Bill.
Hey friends, lots to talk about today, lots going on, and we'll get right back to the news of the day and our Bill Press show this morning in just a second. But first, we'll take a little time out once again to ask for your help for all of us here at Free Speech TV. You know, I don't have to tell you how much, I've told you before, how much We love being with you first thing in the morning, bring you the news of the day. We love the fact that you're with us, but we wouldn't be here without you, and we really do need your help. That's what makes the difference on Free Speech TV. We don't get any corporate money. We don't get any government funding. All of our, we don't get any commercial funding. All of our money, all of our revenue for Free Speech TV comes from you, our viewers. I know you appreciate Free Speech TV, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. You know that you get here totally unfettered, totally independent, just right straight news of the day with good progressive commentary all day long from me and from Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller and Amy Goodman, all of our good friends at Free Speech TV. Well, we wouldn't be here without you. It's just as simple as that. You've been very generous in the past. We're very excited that so many of you already this pledge drive have stepped up to the plate. We thank you for that, and if you haven't already done so, encourage you to make that big call today to 877-378-8669 and make your pledge. Be as generous as you can to Free Speech TV, just to keep this independent, the one single progressive television network on the air, and that is Free Speech TV. And encourage you to do so. Very, very excited to be able to offer you. If you could just give us $10 a pledge, $10 a month, that's $120 a year. You get a Bill Press Show mug and a pound of coffee from our favorite coffee shop downstairs here in our building. If you can up that to $20 a month and a pledge of $240, for which we thank you, you'll love the cheese from Cowgirl Creamery. It comes from a part of Marin County where we live in California. I think it's the best cheese in the entire world. We'll send you a selection of Cowgirl Creamery. And for $360 or $30 a month, you get the Cowgirl Creamery, Cowgirl cheese selection, and the Bill Press mug. That's $30 a month or $360. And then, very, very special, and some of you have signed up for this already, if you can afford to help Free Speech with $1,000 and make your way to Washington, D.C., here's what. We will take you out to dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Washington and invite you to come here the next morning in studio with us to see the show. That'll be a great deal of fun. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Again, the number to make your pledge is 877-378-8669. We depend on you. Please be as generous as you can. Thank you.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go. It is the Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital. We and our studio in Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., we are brought to you today by the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers. Put them all together, and you get the Smart Union. Good men and women of the Smart Union putting in a full day's work for a fair day's pay under President Joseph Nigro. And you can find out more about their good work at their website, smart-union.org. Joe Cirincione will be joining us shortly here from the PloughShares Fund. One thing that caught my attention over the weekend, which I wanted to work in here, and that is, there's a lot of problems in the Senate with some of the President Obama's appointees and Harry Reid changed the filibuster rules to allow a vote on more and more executive nominees, not so much the judicial nominees. But at any rate, one that has run into serious trouble, really I find just so disturbing, and that is the president's pick to be the next Surgeon General. His name is Dr. Vivek H. Murthy, M-U-R-T-H-Y. Nobody doubts that the man is he's a doctor, that he's well qualified, that he is an expert on public health issues. Nobody doubts his credentials at all, and yet he is presently being opposed. He's not even up for a vote because not only Republicans are against him, 10 Democratic senators have indicated they would vote against him. And why? Because Dr. Murthy has spoken out on gun control issues, and the NRA says they don't want him as Surgeon General. So the NRA is now dictating who should be the Surgeon General of the United States. I mean, hasn't this gone too far? I mean, we've talked about this before. The clout of the NRA is vastly, vastly exaggerated. I mean, so many members of Congress, not enough, but certain members of Congress certainly have proven that you can stand up to the NRA and still be elected in this country. You can stand up to the NRA and still keep your job as a member of Congress of the United States Senate. They're not that big. They're not that powerful. They don't have that much money, and they are wrong on the issues. And the Surgeon General has nothing to do with gun control policy. Zero impact. Zero authority to do anything about gun control measures. That's got to be done by a city council or a state legislature or the federal government, not the Surgeon General. Now get this. So here is how radical Dr. Murthy is when it comes to gun control. He has voiced support for various gun control measures like an assault weapons ban. You know, what's the latest poll? Something like 73% of Americans support an assault weapons ban. He's hardly off the reservation. He has supported things like mandatory safety training, so that you would have to know how to fire the damn gun if you buy one. You'd have to take a safety course. Dr. Murthy has supported that. NRA opposes him for that. And he has also supported limits on the sales of ammunition. So you cannot have all these massive rounds that so many of our mass murderers have been found to have, because that was, in fact, their intention, to kill as many people as they can in so short a time. Now, so this hardly makes him a radical. This is not a guy who's saying, I want to take away all guns. He's not saying, I want to get rid of handguns. He doesn't want to ban private ownership of handguns or whatever. He's talking about assault weapons ban, mandatory safety training, and limits on ammunition. And again, he wouldn't have any authority at all to do anything about those measures. But in the past, he has supported them. And Republicans have said they'll never vote for this guy. And here's what really gets me. 10 Democrats have said they can't support the president's pick for Surgeon General either because of his position on gun safety. By the way, which is no different from the president's position on gun safety. What do you think? I think about this. This really, really irritates me. 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-77377. And particularly because it just shows that so many Democrats are cowardly when it comes to the NRA. They just feel that they give them credit for being stronger than they are, I guess. Now, and the final piece of this puzzle is, of course, Dr. Murthy said his concerns about guns stems from his experience in the emergency room of the hospital where he worked, where he has witnessed the trauma that gun violence can cause. Of course, he's seen these people come in. He's seen these young kids come in with these wounds from guns. He's seen the cost, right, to public health and safety from so many guns out there in circulation, particularly these weapons of war that don't belong on our streets and really don't belong in private ownership. And he has said, it's just he, like most Americans, has said it's time that we did something about that. And yet, again, even after Sandy Hook, right, you'd think it would make a difference that we could have some common sense gun safety measures. No, we can't, because the NRA still owns the United States Congress. It's sad, sad commentary on where we are today. And with these 10 Democrats in the Senate now saying that they would never vote for Dr. Murthy, the White House is considering pulling back his nomination and either dumping him or not bringing it up for a vote. Isn't it just disgusting? Really a sad commentary on where we are today. 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-7737 if you want to weigh on this. I never heard of this guy, Dr. Murthy, until this weekend. But from what I read, I'm a big fan of his right now. And he's just the kind of outspoken voice that we need as Surgeon General of the United States.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help, because we wouldn't be here without you. It's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? Well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those who are able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
16 minutes before the top of the hour on Monday, March 17, St. Patrick's Day. Experiencing something like our 24th snowstorm of the season here in Washington, D.C., but we are here. Snow can't stop us. And we're going to be talking about the president's change in policy and deportation here in just a couple of minutes, but talking about the fact that so many Democratic senators have joined Republicans in lining up against the president's nominee for Surgeon General of the United States because the NRA opposes him. Frank is calling from Chicago. Hey, Frank, what do you say? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm wondering how many of the 10 Democratic senators that are opposing this nomination are in states where there is gun manufacturing. Because the NRA is basically a manufacturer's representation organization.
It has become that for sure. You know, it's no longer the sportsman's group that they once prided themselves on. So that's a very good question, Frank.
I am a shooter myself and not a member of the NRA. Haven't been for years because I think they've just gone off the reservation a bit too far. And, they're not willing to listen to any sort of reasonable controls or laws. But I don't think that they're necessarily the voice of the shooters. I still have problems with bans and things of that sort, but I'm also questioning, what are they doing? Why are these Democrats, doing it? If they are indeed kowtowing to the NRA, or if they do have some other issues going on. I think that'd be something worth looking into.
Absolutely, Frank, and I will. I'll tell you. For example, one of the ones that I've seen who said he's definitely going to vote against Dr. Murthy is Mark Begish from Alaska, who's a good liberal, a good progressive, good Democrat. He's up for re-election this year, and he said, quoted here in the New York Times, that, and I doubt that there are any gun manufacturers in Alaska. I don't know that for certain. I think most of them are up in the Northeast. But he just told the New York Times that he's received so many letters from his constituents in Alaska that he's going to vote against this nominee. Again, he may be up for re-election, but he could get reelected even in Alaska without the support of the NRA for sure. I hope this changes. I'm not sure it will unless the public really gets behind this man and gives the White House maybe a little more backbone to stick with him, and these Democrats in the Senate more backbone to stick with this man who's otherwise totally qualified for the job of Surgeon General. He just happens to have some strong feelings about sensible gun control measures. On another important issue, President Obama last week saying that he has asked the Department of Homeland Security to re-examine its policy on deportation. Clarissa Martinez-de-Castro is Director of Civic Engagement and Immigration at the wonderful organization, the National Council of La Raza, joining us on our newsline this morning. Hi, Clarissa. Good to have you with us.
Hi, good morning.
I'm glad that the phone service is still working through the snowstorm. At any rate, so despite the snow, we're able to visit this morning. So, I have raised, Clarissa, this in our White House briefings. I've raised this issue of the deportation a couple of times, and the answer I kept getting from Jay Carney was, we have no choice. We have to enforce the law. We have to deport all these people. Well, last week the president said maybe it's not such a good idea after all. So what happened?
Well, I think normally the administration's response is we have to enforce the law, like you said.
Yeah.
You've heard from Carney. But here's the thing. Nobody is asking the president not to enforce the law. I think that any of our listeners that might be a member of law enforcement or any related agency knows that there is discretion, prosecutorial discretion in law enforcement, because there's never an infinite amount of resources to do the job. And so what the plea has been is for the administration to focus enforcement on people who pose a national security or a public safety threat.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the vast majority of people who are getting picked up are people often who have a broken taillight, which creates an opportunity for somebody to stop them and question them about the papers.
Right, and so the people, and also people are being rounded up at the workplace, right? Without time to go back and with their families and say goodbye, and off they go.
Worksite rates are something that had been proven so futile and unworkable. They were basically showy shows of force, to be redundant, and they have largely been put out of circulation. In a lot of ways, they really terrorize the communities where they happen, and I'm not talking just about undocumented workers. Imagine seeing a force of 100 armed people come into your workplace. So those are not happening as much anymore, but the reality is that now, in some ways, it's even scarier because you might be going out to get a glass of, a carton of milk with your kid, and all of a sudden your kid is left alone because the police picked you up. So I think the ramifications of these deportation is something that we're still grappling with. A lot of people think, well, these are undocumented immigrants. But the reality is that the vast majority of the people we're talking about have been in the country for over 10 years, which means they have spouses, children, families who are United States citizens and are being affected as well.
Do we have any numbers on the range of people, number of people who were deported every week or every month?
The estimate is that it's about 1,100 a day.
Wow. Yeah.
And the worst part of it is that obviously here the administration has discretion, and I think that they will be forced to use it, particularly since Congress refuses to act. But what adds insult to injury here is that while you have Republicans in the House, and Speaker Boehner's office just said this weekend as well, that immigration reform would be good for the economy and it would be good for families. But they can't do it because they don't trust the president to enforce the law. Yet, as you and I have been discussing, this president has deported more people than any previous president and spent more money doing it.
And now, as I understand it, and I want to double check this with you, these people who are being deported, if there were immigration, if comprehensive immigration reform passed, they would qualify for some path to citizenship, correct?
The majority of them would be able to apply to earn legal status first and eventually be able to apply to earn citizenship.
Yeah. So in the meantime, even though the law as proposed by the president would grant them that opportunity, in the meantime, so many of them are being deported. So Clarissa, and again, we're talking with Clarissa Martinez-de-Castro from the La Raza, and it's nclr.org, nclr.org. Have you given up on the chance of getting immigration reform this year?
We can't, and we won't, because the reality is that the only permanent solution to this issue, it can only be done by Congress, right? The president can use discretion in the application of current enforcement laws that I think more and more we're seeing would be good for families and communities across the board. But he cannot do the permanent solution that needs to be done, by which immigrants would have a way to do their retribution for the civil offense they committed by entering the country illegally, but then be able to make that retribution, pay their fines, and all the other stipulations, and earn legal status.
Yeah. No, he cannot do it all by executive order, that's for sure. We need that immigration reform. I hope we can still get it this year. And Clarissa, we thank you so much for your time. Clarissa Martinez-de-Castro from La Raza, nclr.org. Thanks, Clarissa.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good fight.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends, just a little break here and time out to tell you about something very, very important. It's that time again when we turn to you and ask for your help because we wouldn't be here without you. You know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go, people always say, man, you got 3 hours to fill every morning. How do you do it? How do you keep up with all of it? You know, well, let me tell you, we work hard at it. I mean, we start at the end of every show. The first thing we do, we just sit right down and start planning the next day's show and get a rough outline kind of where we want to go and what guests we might want to have and what we think the big issues are going to be. And then we go out and all day long, you know, we're watching the news, reading the news, looking at the websites, following everything. I'm down at the White House every day at the briefings and keeping on top of things down there. And then we, meantime, Peter and Elisa particularly are on the phone, booking our guests for the next day. We reconvene in a conference call at 5 o'clock every afternoon and find out what guests we've got and where we think we're going to go the next day in terms of issues and things we want to talk about. We're also watching that evening, and then the next morning before every show, we reconvene again and sit down and say and put it finally together. And then we're on the air. So, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it, and we couldn't do it without you. That's the important thing, because Free Speech TV, no corporate money, no government money. It is all viewer contributions. We work only for you and depend on you and ask you to help us once again as generously as you can. And there's a little incentive to do so. You can go to freespeech.org, make your contribution, freespeech.org. If you can give us $120, that's $10 a month. We will send you a mug, a Bill Press mug, and a pound of coffee from Peregrine Coffee, our favorite coffee shop downstairs in this building, for $240 or $20 a month. From Cowgirl Creamery, the best cheese in the world, believe me, made in California, close to our home in California. A special package from Cowgirl Creamery. For $360 or $30 a month, you'll get the Cowgirl Creamery selection and a Bill Press mug as well. And a very special treat for those of you able to do so and willing to pledge $1,000 of Free Speech TV. You make your way to Washington anytime with a guest. I will take you and your guest out to dinner, some fabulous restaurant in Washington, and invite you in to watch the show the next morning. So I know you're part of the free speech community, or else you wouldn't be watching this morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your help in the past. And now please ask you to dig in again. You know how important it is. I know how much you depend on the independent expression of progressive opinion you only get on Free Speech TV. Now's the time to help again, and thank you. All right, in the next hour, Joe Cirincione from the PloughShares Fund on the latest in Crimea. The Crimean Parliament has declared its independence this morning. Now, how are we going to deal with that? That's in the wake of yesterday's vote on the resolution to secede from Ukraine. President Obama at the White House today, a very busy day. He will be welcoming late this morning, the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. They will be holding a working session today in the Oval Office through lunch. And then mid-afternoon today, the president will be going out to Bethesda, Maryland, to visit the wounded at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Back at the White House about 5:15 this afternoon. We're supposed to have a briefing with Jake Harney at 1 o'clock today. Back with Joe Cirincione and Kate Nocera.
This is the
Buzzfeed.
Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. We don't care. The show must go on. Good morning, everybody. Here we go. Monday, St. Patrick's Day, March 17. Great to see you today. Coming to you from a snow-covered, snowbound Washington, D.C. today. Everything is shut down except the Bill Press Show. And we are here on your local progressive talk station. We are here on TawkrTV worldwide, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Join the fun, join the crowd, and send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow, or pick up the phone and give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. And today, I got to tell you, seriously, we've had 5 to 8 inches of snow, depending on what part of Washington you're in. Anybody who makes it into the studio today is either just a real hero or crazy.
Completely insane.
Now, I'm not sure which category Joe Cirincione fits into, but Joe, damn it, you made it.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
It's deserted out there. There's hardly any cars out there. The federal government's closed. My office is closed. As soon as I finish with you, I'm going back home.
Joe gets the Spirit Award.
He does.
Without a doubt, he gets
Everything
the
is shut down.
Everything's shut down.
Yeah. Fortunately, the metro's running sort of fits and starts.
Well, that's why I'm late, and I apologize.
You're not late.
Hey, if you're here, you're not late.
That's right.
On a day like today.
We said when we started the show today, we didn't know who was supposed to be here, who might show up or might not, and who was not supposed to be here, who might show up anyway. You know what? It's one of those days. So great to have you here.
Sure, let's get going.
Let's go with Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy. Of course, they made it in. Tough commutes, both of them.
Yeah, we're here. Nowhere else I'd rather be.
Cyprian had the toughest commute of all, and he was the first one to arrive.
Where's he coming from? Bowie.
Bowie,
Maryland.
Yeah.
It's a hike.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a hike.
And then Alicia Cruz, she's got the worst commute, and so she didn't make it. She just decided.
Okay.
Roads were very bad.
Very bad this morning.
Yeah, still. I mean, Pennsylvania Ave is still slick. You know, very few cars out there testing those highways.
Well, it's a good thing just to stay home. But we're glad to have you with us today, and we'll be talking with Joe about so many of the big stories of the day, including the latest from Crimea, which has declared its independence. And don't we love independence? So are we going to support their independence? We'll get into that in just a second. Kate Nocera from Buzzfeed, in theory, is going to join us.
She says she's coming.
Is that right?
I checked in with her. She said she'll be here.
All right, we got it. Joe, we'll get right to it. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. Congratulations to Savannah Guthrie. She made it official this morning over the weekend. She had a super secret private wedding to her fiancé, Michael Feldman, in Arizona. She sort of snuck off, had the wedding. Not only that, after she made the announcement that she got married, she said, "We are 4 months pregnant."
Oh, my God.
So she is in the family way. She is pregnant, 4 months pregnant, and she's now married. So congratulations.
She is great. She's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sad news, if you like terrible sandwiches, Quiznos has filed for bankruptcy protection. We used to have a Quiznos right downstairs.
I know.
And it went away.
Wait, those toasted things?
Yeah.
They do a toasted situation.
I didn't think they were very good. Subway's a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah. Quiznos has 2,100 restaurants in the United States and a few other in 30 other countries.
Restaurants is stretching the term.
Yeah, stores, I should say. Stores. They at one point had more than 5,000, so down to 2,100 from 5,000. So, yeah.
Declaring bankruptcy.
Declaring bankruptcy for Quiznos. And Bill, sometimes we Google ourselves. I Google myself sometimes to see what sort of trouble I'm in. I know you probably do the same. This man lives in Palo Alto. His name is Christopher Vita Afa. He Googled himself, and he found out that he is wanted on suspicion of firing a gun towards an inhabited dwelling in San Leandro, California. He Googled himself, found out that he was on Northern California's most wanted website, so he did the right thing. He turned himself in after he saw his name pop up.
It's a good thing.
Well, at least he's an honest crook or an honest criminal.
And is he the same one?
Oh, yeah, no, he's the guy. But he didn't realize that he had been named.
Oh, I thought it was a mistake.
Yeah, no. He just didn't realize that the police were after him. He didn't realize that he was a suspect in this case. So he figured he's not going to keep running from the law. He's just going to go turn himself in. So he did.
That's why it's good to Google yourself once a day.
Exactly.
So you know.
Find out if the police are after you.
Well, you know which law enforcement group is after you that particular day.
Right, exactly.
All right, Joe, you're busy Googling yourself.
I am sending a tweet out.
I thought he was Googling himself.
I thought he was Googling himself, too. All right. Can we start the conversation here? Can we start the show?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's that kind of a day.
I want people to see what the studio looks like from the world headquarters.
Absolutely, the world headquarters. So this is... Things are happening so fast in Ukraine. They have a referendum yesterday, depending on who counted the vote, either 93% or 97%, they're saying, of those who voted say we want to be a part of Russia, not part of Ukraine. And then after that, the Crimean parliament declared its independence, raised the flag and said we are now the independent Crimean Republic. How can we stop that? How can we reverse that? Or can we, or should we?
Well,
I know a lot of questions here. But.
No, there's even more. I mean, they have also started raising an army, so they're calling up reserves for the new National Guard they just started, plus their army. The Russians are coming to officials are coming tomorrow to Crimea to talk about annexation. They've declared their interest in rejoining Russia. You remember they were part of Russia.
But if they're independent, are they going to be independent or part of Russia?
This is what they want. They want to be part of Russia. So that's clearly where this is going. Vladimir Putin, the head of Russia, is about to address the parliament on the Crimea situation tomorrow. So all this is moving very quickly. There had been some hope that you could delay the referendum. Okay, that didn't happen. Or that even after the referendum, maybe Putin would say, okay, now they have spoken, now let's step back and discuss in a more calm way what we're going to do here. But it doesn't look that way. Every indication is that Putin is moving, is barreling down the track for bringing Crimea back to Russia. That's what the Russian press is saying. You know, Russia gets Crimea back. That's the way they're interpreting this. Is there anything we can do? The EU leaders are meeting today to impose the first round of sanctions, targeted sanctions. They're drawing up a list of maybe 130 top officials they believe responsible for the invasion of Crimea. Yeah. The U.S. will join, but no military action is anticipated.
So the bottom line is Crimea becomes part of Russia.
I don't think you can stop this. I don't think you hear U.S. officials saying this will not stand, we'll never recognize this, but practically speaking, I don't see a way to stop it.
And we're talking about sanctions on Russia. But to what effect?
Which will hurt. You know, one of the things that does matter here is the market. The Russian market has dropped. Russian, investment, it hurts. So what you're trying to do is hurt the oligarchs, the people around Putin. Putin may be relatively independent of those oligarchs at this point now. It doesn't appear that he's actually consulting them. Rather, his main support group seems to be a group of his former KGB officers.
So when you think of the old Soviet Union and you think about the voices of dissent, and maybe the one that pops to mind, the most famous, is Solzhenitsyn, right?
Yes.
The novelist who came to this country, fled. I was surprised to see David Remnick wrote in this week's New Yorker magazine that Solzhenitsyn, as big a critic as he was of the Soviet Union, when the breakup occurred, he said, Solzhenitsyn, that Ukraine should be part of Russia.
Yes.
Ukraine but is part of the East, not part of the West, and that one would assume, were he alive today, that he would be saying Crimea should be part of Russia. I mean, Crimea always was part of Russia.
It always
for a long
was.
time, at least.
Way back. You
Yeah,
know, and,
yeah.
And the Crimean War, this is what, 1817, 1820?
Charge of the Light Brigade.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was about Russia and Britain
Into
contending.
the Valley of Death, March, whatever it is.
Right. That's what it's about. So always been. And when in 1954, when Russia sort of moved Crimea over to Ukraine. Remember, this was the Soviet Union. This was just sort of a petty procedure because the Ukraine, as was then called, was just a republic inside the Soviet Union. Nobody ever thought it would actually leave. So in some sense, you know, the stakes here, the actual strategic stakes, are negligible. It doesn't really matter to us if Crimea is independent or if it's part of Russia or if it's part of Ukraine. It doesn't affect U.S. national security or that of our allies in any way. This is all about the principle. Can you do this? Is this a legitimate referendum? Is this really self-determination and Russia's, invasion, really, of Crimea?
About sovereign borders, right?
About sovereign borders, which is a big issue in Europe. We've kept the peace now for 70 years over recognizing the borders and territorial integrity of the European states.
So the president can never say what you just said, right? The president can never say this is basically does not impact our national security directly.
Right.
Can he?
No, he can't. He can't make that. And if he did, he'd be criticized even more by his opponents. Interestingly, the American public are saying this. A Pew poll out on Friday asked what our position should be. Only 29% of the American public thought we should stand firm on Crimea. 56% said don't get involved. And that's the general mood of the American public right now. They want less involvement in international affairs, not more.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question to ask, and I ask you, 866-55-PRESS. Is it time to just accept that Crimea is now part of Russia and just move on, or is this worth making a bigger deal over? I haven't heard, and I saw, Joe, that Saturday, Senator McCain, who will use any opportunity to throw mud at President Obama, had an op-ed in the New York Times saying Obama, basically blaming the whole thing on Obama, and showed weakness on his part and everything. But what does McCain want us to do, really? When he comes right down to it, what would he do? He's not talking about military action in Crimea.
No one's talking about military action.
And short of that,
they don't have a plan. Well, all they have is criticism. Well, you wrote the book on this, The Obama Hate Machine. And that's what happens. They blame Obama for everything. And McCain tries to sort of dodge that. It'd be crazy to blame Obama for this, just as it would be crazy to blame the Iraq War. Notice how he scuttles away from that, for this current problem. But still, what he says, when you put this all together, what you have is a foreign policy of weakness. And this is a mounting attack on Obama. And it's going to be a problem because we are retrenching. We are pulling back from Iraq and Afghanistan. We are getting less involved. We are cutting our defense budget. Aren't these good things? I believe they are, but they're being portrayed as weakness.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm of the school that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to us whether Crimea is part of Ukraine or part of Russia. And,
no.
And if most of the people there say they want to be part of Russia, fine. Part of Russia.
There's no military advantage. There's no pincer movement. There's no straits that are controlled. There's nothing that matters to us about who runs Crimea.
This afternoon, or late this morning, rather, the president will welcome Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to the White House to try. This is still part of the movement to try to get peace talks back on track. Joe, important movement. What are the prospects for?
I wouldn't put it back on track. I would say the peace talks are on track, and they're trying.
Really?
And
Okay.
they're moving ahead, and they are getting close to agreement on a what they call a final framework, and that's where we are right now. And the U.S. has a decision about whether they can get the two sides to agree, or whether the U.S. just announces, here it is, here's our final framework, take it or leave it. And what they'd rather do, of course, is get agreement. The sticking point at this point appears to be Mr. Netanyahu's insistence that the Palestinians recognize Israel as a Jewish state. So not just the borders, but as a Jewish state. On the one hand, this is fairly non-controversial. The United Nations has done it. Arafat, the former leader of the PLO, recognized it on a couple of occasions, referred to it as a Jewish state. But it's never been part of the negotiations before.
But some Arab countries haven't they? No? Egypt or Jordan?
Jordan has referred to Israel as a Jewish state, but I don't think it's part of the formal agreements between them. I don't think it's part of the formal Egypt-Israel agreements between them. It hadn't been part of the Camp David Accords, for example, the Oslo Agreement, but Netanyahu's raising it now. It really is more symbolic than anything else, which is why some people feel that Netanyahu is raising this as a way to scuttle the negotiations, so he doesn't have to agree to the other tough parts of the negotiations of stopping the settlements, giving up some of the land.
But isn't that a small price to pay compared to what the Palestinian Authority would get if they get the defined borders and they get some action on the settlements?
Well, this is exactly what President Obama is going to be saying to Mr. Abbas today. He's going to say, I think, I understand, I know, but look, just say it. Just do it. It's okay. He'll probably show him the videotape of Arafat saying it to try to give him cover, because in the end, this is a pretty good deal for both parties if they can just drink the water. Obama and Kerry have brought them to the water. If they could just drink it.
So we've got Ukraine, and we didn't even get to, as we got Ukraine, we've got the Middle East, we didn't even get to Syria yet.
Third anniversary.
Joe Cirincione is here with all the answers and the insights. Your questions always welcome at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
For more than 18 months, the members of AFSCME 3299 have been working to secure a new contract with the University of California. With workplace injuries at UC skyrocketing and government fines related to safety deficiencies at UC hospitals skyrocketing, Local 3299's top priority has been safe staffing at the workplace.
We've been short of people for the last 5 years. They're stretching us thin, which the students are suffering, the faculty suffering, and the patients are suffering.
While UC administrators have granted these standards to other UC workers, they have refused to make similar accommodations for AFSCME represented workers who perform the most physically demanding labor at UC.
It takes a whole team to take care of the patient. It's not just the RN and it's not just the doctor. The nurses were able to win a great contract, and AFSCME workers, the patient care workers and service workers, they're part of the team and they deserve that same fair contract too.
We take pride into working for the university, and we feel like the university doesn't value the work that we do.
But the second-class treatment of AFSCME workers doesn't end at safety and staffing. On wages, benefits, and other issues, UC refuses to offer AFSCME 3299 members the same respect they afford their other workers.
I have 3 jobs because what the university pays me is just not enough to make a living for my family and myself.
99% of service workers in the UC system make so little money that they're eligible for at least some form of public assistance. At the same time, the number of executives in the UC system that have crossed over into making at least $250,000 a year has more than doubled since 2008.
The University of California has long been a beacon of hope and progress for those struggling for dignity and fairness. With such a proud history, it is disturbing to see the leadership of the university treat its lowest paid workers like second-class citizens.
All workers at the university deserve equal treatment.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Kate Nocera, also, she's got her snowshoes out, and she made it in the studio. She'll be joining us at the half. Joe Cirincione was the first one to plow through. Those dog sleds really come in handy.
Hey, dude, mush.
That's what you need one a day like today. There's a lot of snow out there this morning.
Yeah, surprised me.
Yeah, coming in. So, Joe, we are now third anniversary.
Yeah.
Of the civil war in Syria. With, I don't know, no end in sight, I'd have to say, it seems. And I think Assad's got the upper hand right now.
He does. It's grim. The news is uniformly grim from Syria. Assad is pounding the rebels. Their military actions to the rebels.
Even though we're not paying attention to it now.
Yeah. Even though this is maybe one of the most reported wars in history, we still don't really understand how bad it is for the people in Aleppo, for example, the refugee camps. Just terrible conditions. Right now, peace talks, there had been 2 sessions in Geneva. We talked about them on the show. Dead. Nothing happening. The Russia's relations, of course, with the United States are now cold. Part of the effort to bring a peace was to get Russia to exert some pressure on Assad. That's over. That's not going to happen. We're actually warming up our relations with Iran. That's a bright spot, by the way, in U.S. foreign policy. U.S. talks with Iran are good. Senior officials are meeting today, again, in Geneva to talk about resolving the Iranian nuclear crisis. So maybe Iran can play a role in Assad, but it looks like he's going to cling to power and have enough power and probably call presidential elections in June to reassert his authority.
Yeah, and we were talking about this at the briefing, I think, on Friday. The president has said President Assad's days are numbered.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the number just keeps getting longer and longer.
The number's getting longer.
All right. Well, Joe, again, you get the Spirit Award for coming in through the snow this morning. Always great to have you here, especially today. Thank you so much. We'll keep our eye on all of these problems and someday maybe better news. Thanks,
My
Joe.
pleasure, Bill. Thanks for having me in.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
You bet. 33 minutes after the hour now here on St. Patrick's Day, March 17, a snowy day here in our nation's capital. Again, we think the last snowstorm of this winter. That's because spring starts on Thursday, so the next snowstorm will be a spring snowstorm. At any rate, everything is shut down today. Federal government shut down. A lot of businesses in Washington shut down. The Bill Press Show continues through the snow. Kate Nocera from Buzzfeed plows through the snow to make it this morning. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
It's good to be here.
You made it here almost ahead of Peter Ogburn. He was pretty late getting in this morning.
I was a little late coming in. Yeah, I got snarled
But he had
up
a
an
tougher
accident.
commute
Wasn't-
than
I
you,
didn't-
than
Yeah,
you and
it's
I
true.
do. You and
That's
I
true.
do, right. And Lisa Murphy here as well. And Simply
Yeah.
Bolden coming in from Bowie. The longest commute and the first one here this morning.
I'm so impressed.
Turned on the lights
I barely
this morning.
could. I barely could walk through it this morning.
Alicia Cruz didn't make it this morning. She is the worst commute of all, and she made the right decision.
She let me know early this morning. She got up, she looked at the roads, and said that there's just no way. It was too messy.
But and it'll be gone today. That's the kind of
I think
snow
so.
that we
I think
have.
it feels
comes
very
and
warm
goes.
outside. It'll just be slushy, so that'll be
Which
fun
is
for everyone.
Yeah, which is the worst.
This winter needs to be over. Give me those 110-degree days.
But we talked to Jason Semino from the Capital Weather Gang earlier in the show, who said that there's the possibility, he was not predicting, the possibility of one more storm.
So I think.
Wait a minute. Next week.
I think the Capital Weather Gang is. I think it's. I'm going to call them out. I think it's a little bit of a scam. I think they like to hype it. They hype and they hype and they hype, and then everyone clicks on their blog.
Let me tell you something. Last week, Jason was on, and I said, "Is this it?" And he said, "No, there's a possibility of one more like a week away." And I said, "Get out of here." I didn't believe him. Did not believe him. Especially Saturday when I'm walking outside with shorts on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was wearing flip-flops on Saturday.
I certainly did not believe him, but he was right on. So don't knock him.
Okay.
Be careful.
It's fine.
Don't worry.
I just get a little angry.
Don't worry. He'll be the first one to knock them next winter when they screw up. Don't worry.
They've proven to be amazingly accurate this year.
But they're a little
This year,
little
I will say,
hyperbolic.
this year they've been pretty good. Last year and the couple years before that, they were the ones that were saying like Armageddon is coming, and then we just got a bunch of rain.
Right.
So,
all right. So here we are, Kate. I'm not blaming you on this, but so we have this big crisis in Ukraine. There was a referendum yesterday. Crimea now has declared its independence. Ukraine is struggling to hold on and get on their feet economically, independent of Russia, and they're counting on the United States to help out. And the president has called on Congress repeatedly saying, come on, let's pass this resolution, pass some financing to help Ukraine. And what happens? Congress just went on a 10-day vacation.
They did go on a 10-day break.
Didn't do anything about it before they left.
I mean, to be fair, the House actually, the House actually passed something very quickly, very bipartisanly. They took money that was already allocated for loan guarantees and just moved it, allowed it to go to the Ukraine. The holdup is in the Senate right now because a lot of Democratic senators want to see reforms to the IMF to have money be able to go from the IMF to the Ukraine eventually. That is the big sticking point. Republicans don't want this to happen. Democrats do. It's unclear even if that was in the Senate package, if the House would eventually allow it. I mean, I kind of don't understand why they don't just take up the House thing, pass it, get it done. Because what you have right now is everyone kind of looks bad at this point.
Yeah.
Holding up, fighting. House did something. The Senate is not used to being in this position where the House does something very quickly and efficiently.
Lately, it's been the other way around. The Senate passes an immigration bill, then it's dead in the House. But now the House has moved first.
Yeah, they gotta get it. They gotta get it done.
But either way, the point is that they left town without resolving this,
right?
And they're gone for 10 days,
right?
And what is this? Is the extended St. Patrick's Day vacation?
I'm not sure.
Under what rubric or excuse do they take this 10 days?
That's a great question that I don't have an answer to.
As if they need an excuse, right?
Well, it's election. It's election time. You know, they got to get back and campaign. It's simple as that. I mean, they'll say they're working, quote unquote, having district work time, but any vulnerable senator, anyone facing a primary in the House is going to be campaigning.
They want to spend as much time as they can back
in the
home
districts.
and not
and not here.
So is this Ukraine thing likely to be resolved when they come back?
I hope so. I think so. I think everyone agrees that something needs to get done. And you've heard, Senators McCain, Senator Murphy, bipartisan calls for something to be done. Menendez wants to finish it soon. They wanted to finish it before the break, and they didn't. We'll see if they can come up with an agreement before. It might be one of those things where they come up with an agreement and then it'll get passed right away as soon as they get back.
McCain gave a pretty tough speech where he said he was ashamed of his. I think it was on the floor of the Senate. He said he was ashamed of his Republican Party because of
of holding it up. But it's also, it's both sides.
As you
right
point
now.
out, some Democrats in this case might be holding it up too. One thing that if they didn't make a deal on Ukraine, they did. At least 10 senators, 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans, made a deal last week on unemployment insurance.
Right.
And yet again, they made a deal, but they didn't pass a bill, right?
Take some time. It's already.
Yeah, hello. Right.
Yeah, it's a 5 month.
It's already been, this is middle of March. And
it's already been a few months.
And it expired December 28th or January 1, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would be 5 months. I think 2 of those would be retroactive. And then 3 months. And it's unclear to me. Even if it'll pass the Senate, but I don't know what the appetite is in the House right now to do this. It's gonna. Maybe the blessing behind the 10-day break is that they'll go back to their districts and start hearing from people who have gotten their unemployment and checks canceled. That's part of why people go home too.
Right.
Is that they'll hear from their constituents, and that might be a moment for the House to sort of realize that maybe they should do something about this.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason I'm smiling. I was just point out that they went home at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Without doing this, and they had 2 weeks to hear from their constituents.
But now it's been 2 months.
And now they came back, and they didn't. And when they came back, they still didn't do anything about it. So.
But now it's been people have been living 2 months.
I hope you're right.
This,
I hope you're right.
So.
And especially if they can come out of the Senate with this deal, then just do it.
Yeah, it might be a situation where it's all the Democrats and 30 or 40 Republicans. That seems to be a pattern that we've experienced before.
We have talked before about immigration reform.
Yep.
So now there's a little different twist with the president and the question of deportations.
Yeah.
You can read it 2 ways, I guess. First, as you know, and I've talked about on the show, I've raised this issue with Jay Carney, saying, why don't you do something about this fact that you're deporting 1,100 people a day, and immigration groups are saying, at least by executive order, you could slow that down. Just make a phone call. And until this point, the White House has been saying, and Carney's been telling me and others, look, we don't have any choice. We have to enforce the law. All we're doing is enforcing the law. Last week, the president did a 180 and said, maybe
there's a reason for his 180.
That's what I'm asking you.
It had taken a long time, but this was a big story last week. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus on the Hill was drafting a resolution that would sort of publicly rebuke the president and say, we are asking you to stop the deportations. We think you've gone over the line. The woman who runs La Raza called him the deporter-in-chief, I think was the language. It had started just reaching a bubbling over point. And so the CHC was going to do this, and what ended up happening is that the White House, we reported that the White House was calling them, asking to have them cancel this vote on this resolution, which would have been their public stand. And instead, they got a meeting with him. They got a meeting with the president. It was Luis Gutierrez, Javier Becerra, and Ruben Hinojosa all went to the White House to meet. And that is when we heard the president say, I'm going to get the Homeland Security Secretary to look into this, see if there's anything that we can do. Jay Johnson, the DHS secretary, is going to be meeting with the CHC. And I think it was a way for everyone to finally get on the same page about this. And I think there was a lot of tension between the CHC and the White House. They weren't getting weren't getting their respect they felt like they wanted, and it had taken so long for the White House to kind of come out with a position on this. They considered it a real victory that the president said that he would look into, trying to do something, but the resolution didn't go away. It's still in a draft form somewhere, and I think if in a couple months we don't see movement from the White House on trying to slow deportations, the CHC will come out again.
Yeah, for right now, it's just a promise to look into
Correct.
it. It's not.
Yeah.
So does this mean to you that, as some people have suggested, the White House realizes, well, look, we know we're not going to get immigration. This is a sign that they understand they're not going to get immigration reform legislation this year, so therefore they're taking this one more executive action because
I don't think they're going to take an executive I hear a lot of people interpreting it as that he announced an executive action and
it was not an executive order. No, he asked the secretary to look into it.
Right, saying, is there anything we can do in the confines of the law? I think that they are careful, especially with immigration. I do believe that the president does actually want immigration reform to get done. They're really worried about antagonizing Republicans even more than, everything the president does antagonizes Republicans seemingly right now, right? But that specifically on this, if I think they're being very, very, very sensitive around this particular issue because they know that there are Republicans who would vote for immigration reform. They don't want to put them in a tougher spot. So we'll see. I don't think it's a message about giving up. I think that, we heard all the CHC members come out on Friday saying what this does for us is it tries to increase the pressure on our Republican colleagues to get it done. I don't see any chance of it happening. It's like one day they're totally into it and then the same day they're not. So, but...
All right, we got it on immigration reform, on the unemployment insurance, and on the Ukraine. 3 topics covered so far. 866-55-PRESS, your questions, your comments about any action we can expect on any front. When we come back, I want to talk to Kate about the Koch brothers getting a lot of heat from Harry Reid. It's really been taking them on. Again, 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go. It's 10 minutes before the top of the hour from Buzzfeed. They're covering the capital of Kate Nocera here in studio with us. Is Buzzfeed open for business today?
We're the internet. We're always open.
The internet's always on.
The internet is always open.
What time does the internet close?
It doesn't close. So I'll be as long as my Wi-Fi works.
This is good and bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good in that you're always there, but it's bad in that you're always there.
Right.
You're always on, right?
Always
so
on.
like a doctor who's always you're always on call.
I'm always on call. The internet summons me. I have to go.
Now, we've known that the Koch brothers have been out there. They spent $400 million last year in all of it, either anti-Obama or pro-Republican candidates for the House and for the Senate. And we didn't hear much about them. Harry Reid has really stepped up the frontal attacks on the Koch brothers this year. What happened?
He's just over it. When Harry Reid decides he's going to go after someone, he doesn't mess around.
I mean, he's called them un-American.
Multiple days in a row, he's gone to the Senate floor. And I did a story on this a few weeks ago. There's literally no downside for a Democrat to go after the Koch brothers in this way. Whether or not it's fair, whether or not a senator should be attacking these people from the Senate floor, whether that it doesn't matter, right? Because Democratic groups know that this fires up their base. People don't know the Koch brothers, but you need a foil in politics, and they serve as a really great foil for the Democratic base. People think of them and think of the scary sort of underground villains pumping money into. So Harry Reid's not gonna let up. I think it does I think they personally offend him. We had a reporter roundtable meeting with him where he was talking about this, and he is personally offended that they spend this much money attacking his candidates. And he thinks that they are, quote unquote, trying to buy America, trying to buy Senate seats. He's not letting it go. Mm-hmm. Harry Reid doesn't let things go very easily. And apparently it's a family thing, because I asked him, he said on the floor a few days ago, the GOP is addicted to Coke.
Yeah.
I get it. Right.
Get it? And he said his wife came up with that line, though I don't think she did. I think she probably heard it somewhere and then gave it to Harry Reid.
I don't think she gets full credit for that.
I mean, I think it's been around for a while, but maybe she thinks she came up with it. So, yeah.
Well, you're right about it. When Harry Reid gets onto something, right? It's like a pit bull.
Right. Remember Mitt Romney's taxes? This was a similar thing.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that he had heard it from John Huntsman Sr., But it doesn't matter. You know, he doesn't care. He's like, whatever, attack me, go after me. I don't care. He's this soft-spoken old man, but he does not. He's brutal. I mean, there's a reason why he's the leader of the Senate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Easy to underestimate his force.
Completely.
Kate Nocera, thanks again for braving the snow and coming in. The slush and the snow.
Yeah.
Good luck getting home.
Thank you.
All right, see you again soon.
Try not to fall down.
I'll wrap things up with a parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, happy St. Patrick's Day in some way is not so happy this year because once again, organizers of the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York and in Boston refused to allow any gay and lesbian group to participate. But the good news is that this year, not everybody is putting up with that kind of discrimination any longer. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh and 45 other local, state, and federal elected officials refused to attend this year's parade, and Sam Adams Beer withdrew its sponsorship. And in New York, Mayor de Blasio didn't show up for the parade this year, and Heineken withdrew its sponsorship of the parade as well. Good for them. You can't stop others from being hateful, but you can refuse to join them. Have a great St. Patrick's Day, folks. We'll see you back here again tomorrow morning.
Show.